Welcome, folks. This is Inside the Leader's Mind, where what's in the way becomes the way. My name is David Suson, and I want to welcome our guest today, Eric Goodman. He's the president and CEO of MVS, that's Mountain View Services. They are a leading healthcare supply and distribution company, and they serve over 500 care facilities across California, including homes for developmentally disabled adults and children, hospices, schools, and nonprofits. Under Eric's leadership, MVS has earned multiple honors, named one of Orange County's Civic 50 most community-minded companies 3 years in a row, the Orange County Business Journal's Family-Owned Business of the Year, and the Association of Fundraising Professionals' Outstanding Small Business. In 2023, Eric expanded his family legacy by acquiring Chempak, and that's a 37-year-old business that his father had founded. And beyond business, he's deeply committed to community and philanthropy, serving on boards like the American Heart Association, Ronald McDonald House Charities, and he was honored with the Greater Irvine Chamber Philanthropist, I almost said philanthropic, Philanthropist of the Year in 2024. Please welcome Eric Goodman. Eric.
Thank you very much. Great intro. Appreciate it. I know that's a mouthful, especially the developmentally disabled always gets everybody tongue-tied.
I messed up mostly on the philanthropist. That's the harder one. That is the hard. Well, hey, thank you so much for being with me today. Before all of these podcasts, I have a brief time to chat with people and learn a little bit about them. We have a short amount of time. So I want to kind of keep things short and sweet a little bit, but I would love to hear a little bit about your journey to where you are today. And we'll start there. How about that?
All right. Yeah, I'll try to keep it short and sweet. You give me the notice if I need to keep us in our 30 minutes because I'm a talker. Yes, thanks for having me. So my background story, obviously, that's what the whole thing is here is I was born with a very rare condition called Schumann's kyphosis, which is kind of like scoliosis, but instead of a 45-degree curvature of the spine, it's like a 90. So you're essentially hunchback. I knew I had this rare condition. I knew I was going to have surgery on my back, which is fusing your spine. What I didn't know was when I was 15 and a half years old, I was rushed into the hospital and the doctors told my family that the curvature was putting so much pressure on my left lung that my lung was collapsing and it was life-threatening. So I underwent a 9-hour surgery to fuse my spine. I was like 3 weeks in ICU and I was in a full body cast from the neck down for 9 months. Basically, they took portions of my rib bone, inserted that, chopped it up in little pieces, inserted that in the triangles in your back in the bone, the vertebrae, and fused that all together as one solid bone. And then they put 2 metal rods, Harrington rods in my back, which I still have today, plastic rib inserts, and 150 nice stitches on my back. So anybody wants to go up against me for a scar contest, there's a guy out there that wants to see if he can win. I guarantee you I'm going to win the contest. So my life started out, that was like almost a year that I was bedridden in a full body cast because I was pre-internet, pre-cell phone. So a lot of time to think. And that's kind of what set my life going forward was getting my mindset in a place to understand that what happened to me didn't have to define my life and that I could do so much more being disabled and moving forward with that mindset that I could make a difference. And I'm sure we'll talk about that today on the podcast.
Well, there's a couple things that you told me, something you told me before, and I want to piggyback on a comment you just made. You were taller after those 9 months.
I was, yeah. I think I was 5'6" when I went on the operating table. I came off the operating table at 5'9".
So there's the benefit right there. But no, what I love.
Well, but if you could see me in person today, which you can't on video, so I'm 5'9" with a size 12.5 shoe, because my height couldn't keep growing, but my feet. So my dad is 6'3", my sister's 6'1", my son is 6'3". So I mean, I should have been 6'3", probably 6'4". I'm 5'9". Yeah, with a 12.5-inch shoe.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. Well, I want to, one of the first comments that I'm curious about is you have this amazing attitude and energy when I've talked to you and you come across now. And the comment you made about not letting it define you. Do you believe, and I hate asking a closed-ended question, but if you can elaborate, that that part of it is because you are still young, growing mentally, that you have that attitude? Because I think a lot of people, when they have adversity, whether it's physical or anything, they it defines them and they say I can't. And especially depending on the age that it happens. Do you think it was partially because of the age, or is it your parenting? Is it your environment? Where do you think it comes from?
Well, it's a good question. I never had anybody ask me that or ask it in that way. It's a very good question. I do think having this happen at a young age obviously defined my entire life because my mindset was in a place of not letting this. Too many people say, "Oh, this happened to me. Poor me. I can't do this. I'm disabled." Blah blah blah. But also for me, I think the other side of it was not only at a young age, but I think too many people wait until catastrophic things happen in their life, death, illness, injury, and then they say, "Oh, okay, I know I have to change. I know I have to do something different." Since it happened to me so early, as I wrote my book recently that I published, "What's Your Mindset?" and anybody that knows me or has met me has talked to me. I've had multiple health challenges. Like it wasn't just the back. Then I had a heart condition. I had dyslexia. I've had these multiple things that have happened to me over my life that have just been constant setbacks. And through all of those, I didn't actually ever let that get in the way because I kept thinking, okay, if I stay in this positive mindset and I understand that these things are going to happen to me, but if I take a lesson from them and learn and say, how can I apply this to helping others in the community, my businesses, nonprofits, and use them as I always say, I don't let my disabilities define me. I have them motivate me as tools to motivate me to do better. That's kind of what's always been the mantra of my life, which too many people, I think, wait until that time when something happens. And that's what changes it. I've had 30 years to do this, and I'm going to keep doing it for as long as I can.
Where did that come from, though? Was that just an internal? This is Eric, and this is I just kind of am wired this way to think that way from a young age and along the way, or was this people in your life that inspired you? Where's it come from?
Yeah, I mean, in the book, I talk about that a lot too, like a lot of different mentors and a lot of different ways in my life, a lot of different things. I think it was my own thing that I came up with. It was just I knew I had seen too many people in life, and I had known too many people that it just appears to me most people in life get in a mindset of negativity, and then they go down this rabbit hole, and then it's really hard to get back out. Right? That's when you get into severe anxiety, severe depression, some sort of an addictive personality to alcohol or drugs or something, and then that's when your life takes that horrible trajectory. Since I'd seen that, I thought, well, geez, if I can keep myself in a positive mindset, not go down that rabbit hole, I won't ever have to get back out of it. If I stay out of it, I'll be able to continue to go up, which is kind of what I've done. And I think that was just some observations of seeing so many people let their mind get into a negative space. And then the other thing that blows my mind that I share in the book and that I talk about people's all these health issues I've had, it always is amazing how much my mind affects my body. And you don't realize when you let your mind get into a negative state, all of a sudden you're sick and you have all these health problems and your body doesn't function right. And you're like, why do I feel like crap? Well, it's really honestly, it started with your mind, and your mind let your body go that way. Your body doesn't get sick. And then your mind goes, oh, the body's sick. I don't feel good either. It's the complete opposite. So I've always noticed that if I keep my mental state and my physical state with my mind, that I need all of those things working together, but my mindset is what drives it.
That's amazing, and some other people should be able to learn from this. You would hope, because like if you can do this, other people can, right? I mean, it's remarkable. I, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit about your leadership, right? Kind of what what led you into the business you're in now?
Good question. So, Mountain View Services Inc., as you mentioned, in VS. So, we have about 500 homes for developmentally disabled adults and children that we service in the state of California through Medi-Cal and Medicare. We provide them all of their food, medical supplies, basically everything they need to live in these group homes. 38 years in business. I did not start or found the company. I went to work for the company as a minimum wage employee. It was actually a vendor partnership with my dad's company. That was the relationship. It was one of our customers, and my dad's company was their vendor. So that's how I got introduced to the CEO and started working with their business. Obviously, I loved what they did. Then I outside sales, director of sales, vice president, president, and then I bought the company in 2020. So I've been CEO, full shareholder since 2020. Service about 3,500 disabled patients a day with our services. So we have a lot of cause, a lot of purpose. Obviously, it fit my background because of me being born physically disabled. And so, just the purpose and the cause that we have for what we're able to do, that's what motivates me to keep going and why I'm involved with so many charities, why I do so much in the community. I kind of fell into it. It wasn't something I had planned to do. You don't grow up and say, I want to own a company that serves developmentally disabled adults and children with their services. It just happened to be circumstances in my life got me there. And it was like 30 years into the business before I realized that I had been born disabled. I had my surgery and I built a whole career of caring for people with disabilities. I didn't intentionally do that. It just kind of happened. But then after I realized it, I was like, I think subconsciously I had so much empathy for people that are disabled physically or mentally. That's why I wanted to support them and care for them. That's why I built this business. But it was just it was a mindset thing and I think really, to be honest with you, my surgery, I had PTSD from it for many, many, many years because until I started sharing my story publicly and talking about it, I had forgot many of the things I'd been through. And I had to go back to my mom and she had to say, this was the body cast. These were the leg braces you had. This was this. And I'm like, I don't remember any of that. But I think it was such a traumatic event in my life that I purposely blocked it out. Right. I didn't want to remember it. Now that I remember it and it motivates me to do what I do, it's a complete mindset change and it's only been the last like 4 or 5 years I've been sharing my story publicly that
Wow.
I've been able to, and that's really when my leadership transitioned to being a leader of multiple companies and being the CEO. The way I lead my teams is, I think I told you on the call, and I was being honest with you. I suck as a CEO. I really do. I'm not a good CEO. I suck at it. It's not a good job for me. I'm not the guy that should be managing people because I have too big of a heart. I'm not the guy that should be doing paperwork. It's a waste of my talents and abilities. I'm not the guy to sit there and sign checks. But I did that for many, many years. And then I realized, one, I suck at it. Two, I don't like doing it. And three, my talents are being out in the community, being a visionary leader and making connections and helping people. So then I was able to reorg the businesses, get the right team in place. They run the day-to-day operations and lead it. And that frees me up to go out in the community and do what I do. And that's the best. I mean, that was the best decision I ever made in my life in the last 3 or 4 years that I've had the structured that way. It's changed everything for me.
But you're still the leader of the company. You're the face of the company.
By title, I mean, I have the CEO title. I don't, people laugh and joke at me. I've shared this on some other podcasts, and I don't think this is in a book, but I don't even have an office in our building. I don't have a physical office like that I go to in the building. I go sit in the conference room, and then somebody needs to use the conference room, and they say, "Hey, excuse me, Eric, we need the conference room," and I have to go move to another office, and then somebody needs that, and I have to move, and eventually I end up in my car, and then I sit in my car and I take my calls or meetings, and people will say, well, you own the companies,
It's almost
got
sad.
five locations. Why do you not have an office? And I said, well, because it's not about me. It's about the team. And I have leaders who run the organizations, and I don't want somebody to see uh, um, shiny building with a big temple down at the end of the hallway. That's my office where I'm the king, and that's how I dictate. I want everybody to know it's a team effort, and I have an amazing team that's leading these companies, and I'm just there to support them. So I don't have an office. I don't have any official role, which is great.
Right, I think I'll bet there. I want to dig into this because my guess is there's more to it than you're letting on. Because, I, and maybe not, but I'm going to assume. I don't never assume, right? That there's more to it. That you're providing some sort of leadership. It may not be management, right? But must be some sort of leadership because your attitude and your energy, I think, is infectious.
Thank you.
Is that is that prevalent in your
Oh
organization?
yeah,
Does that filter through the
for sure.
organization?
Yeah, for sure. And lots of times, I mean, the team will. I'll be there all day at the office, and it used to be in the old days, before I restructured the company and realized I needed the right people in the right seats to do the right job, and I was in the wrong role because since I had the CEO title, I thought I had to do all these things. That was part of my role. And then I realized, wait a minute, I don't want it. One, I don't want to do all these things. And two, I'm not good at it. I need to get people to do this for me, and I need to do what I'm good at, which is the visionary leadership and community building. I think they just want me there for support, so they know that if they need to come to me, I'm there. I'm available as a mentor. I'm available to answer questions. I'll get on the call with a vendor or customer. I'll do whatever they need, but I'm empowering them to do it. So I think it's just sometimes I'll be at the office all day. I go in one day a week to that building, and they never ask me anything. They never come to me. They never do anything, but they tell me they feel better with the decisions they're making because I'm there, because I'm supporting them. Or they'll say, "Hey, next week I need help with this or that." But it's just because I mentor them to do the right thing, and they know our values and they know what the business does. But really, I'm just there to support whatever they need.
We, but that's so important, right? I think it's interesting how we define leadership, right? I always say you don't have to have a title to be a leader, right? You can always be a leader at any level, but sometimes I think we have, as leaders, we have a definition of what we think it should be.
Right.
And then I'm not saying you feel guilty, but I think a lot of times people have a guilt that it's like, yeah, but I'm not. We always talk about what we're not doing versus the impact we are having. Does this make
Right.
sense?
No, that makes sense. And my son, he kind of opened my eyes. My son was funny. I remember one time he was at the office and he said, I feel like when you're there, it's kind of like the Tasmanian devil went through the building. And I'm like, why? And he's like, well, because you come in and he's like, you go around to all the offices and you talk to everybody and you go into the warehouse and you go into the conference room and he has me, you talk about, and nobody gets anything done the whole entire day because you're there. Because I'm saying, I need this, I need that, I need you to do this, I need that, I need here, I want to meet, I want to talk. And then when it shifted and I went to all of them leading and doing it and me just observing, I remember sitting in a manager's meeting. We meet once a month on a Tuesday. And we were all together in the manager's room. There's like 13 managers. I remember going around the table and I remember they went around the whole thing for an hour and nobody ever engaged with me. And I just kind of sat there. And then the meeting was over and I was like, do you need anything from me? They're like, nope, we're good. I said, anybody have a problem? Nope. To help? Nope, we're good. I said, okay. And I kind of sat there and I started crying. They're like, what is, what is with you? What's going on? I'm like, this is like the dream. This is like I've made it. This is the pinnacle of my career. Like I have a whole team who just sat here and ran the company and needed me for nothing while I sat there. But it took 29 years to get there. That just didn't happen overnight, right? I built that and I got that team to where they're at. And I was so emotional. I was like, this is incredible. I'm like, okay, thanks. And I left the room and my son was like, what a change. I'm like, that mind shift focus from thinking I had to do everything and be in control of everything to me showing up and doing nothing. And the company still operated as great or probably better than it did when I was thinking I had to be in charge of everything.
Was there an aha moment when this occurred to you to kind of let go,
Well, I mean,
or an experience?
yeah, you just run yourself ragged. You try to be like, the CEO of a $30 million company with hundreds of employees and, thousands of customers, and you try to be everything. And then you realize you're killing yourself. Like I'm signing checks and I'm in every meeting and I'm in every, team management meeting, 13 different departments. And I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do that and then juggle life. And it's just like you get crazy and burn out and it's just too much. And so I had an epiphany moment where I was doing some soul searching and praying, midlife crisis, I'd like to say, because I was 50. And I was saying, this can't be the way this can't be it. And what's my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? What's my role? I wasn't happy with what I was doing. And that's when I ahaed and said, I think I need to figure out what I'm good at, what everybody on the team's good at, use everybody's strengths, not our weaknesses, realign the organization and say, this is you're good at this, you're good at this, you're good at this, you're good. And I know I'm good at this. Let's figure out we can all do that. And that's when I started moving people around and setting it up where we all have weaknesses. I have weaknesses. Everybody on my team has weaknesses, but I don't draw on that. We draw on their positive side and what they're good at. And so, some people, I had one person who was in charge of training. She sucked at it. We reorged her position and we gave her no training and gave her something else. And she came to us and said, thank God, because I hated doing the training and I was awful at it. I'm so much better at this job. And I'm like, I wish we would have done that 10 years ago. If we would have just asked her 10 years ago, do you like doing the training? No, she hates it. She's awful at it. And we all said she was awful at it, but that was part of her role. So we got rid of the training, gave it to somebody else who loves to do training, gave her something she loves. Now she's amazing. But right, because we were just all everybody's like, she's not good at it. She knew she wasn't good at it, but that was part of her job. So we just took it out of her job and gave her something different. And then we were successful. So it was figuring all that out where we all, and it took a long time. It took a few years for us to get everybody in the right seat. But now that we're in the right seats, everybody's killing it. And that was the goal.
I love that. It's interesting because one of the thoughts that came to me when you were saying this is, 10 years she's in this role, she hated it. And a lot of times people that are listening to this, watching it might say, well, that's her responsibility. She should have asked. But here's the reality. Like I've interviewed thousands of high performers, leaders. People don't ask. It's a small percentage that is willing to speak up. And we always say, oh, they should just. But I think as leaders, I think it's important that we look at your story and say, wait a minute, they're not speaking up, maybe out of fear, retaliation, firing, whatever. And I think it's as a leader, we can dump it on them. And I use the word dump it on, well, it's their responsibility. But ultimately, what do we want? We want the business to grow and thrive. We want a positive culture. We want engagement. So why
It's
don't we,
our responsibility.
instead of blaming, why don't we do what you did and ask and say, are you happy in this role? And if not, what are your strengths? What are you better at? And then we find a way to not the jigsaw puzzle,
Yes.
what I
Yes.
mean. You
Yes.
slide the pieces
Well,
around, and you're
and
like,
some people have attended like my manager's meeting and they've said or seen my team. Like my team is respectful. They're all good. And I'm not saying this in a negative light, but I'm just saying I've been in my team meetings before where my team is very bold with me and they say things to me that I don't think other teams would say to other CEOs. And people have said to me, "Why do you allow them to say that or why can they speak freely like that?" And I say, the day that they don't, that's the day that I'm going to freak out and worry because then it's going to be like, "Okay, they're just marching along to my orders, doing what I want to do. Yes, sir." And it's just done. When they actually come back at me and say, "No, I don't agree. We shouldn't do that. No, wait, we should do it this way. Wait, that I don't agree. I don't want to do that." That's when I go, okay, this is an engaged team of people who are really passionate about what we do and care, and they care about me and they support me. They wouldn't be speaking up if they didn't have mine or the company's best interest at heart. They'd be like, I don't care. It's his company. Let it fail, whatever. But then they jump up and they say, no, 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 we're not doing that. I'm not doing that. And everybody looks like, okay, what's he going to say? And of course, I say, okay, let's discuss it then. I never want them to feel like they can't say something because I've empowered them to do that. It's their role to lead.
so why do you think more leaders don't do that?
Well, they have an ego. I mean, they have an ego. The reason I used to have the biggest office in the building, and the reason I had ginormous presidential desk, and the reason I had a preferred parking space with my name on it was because it made me feel important. I felt powerful because I had that power and I could dictate over people and tell them what to do. And when you especially when you're a younger new leader, I think that's what you think, right? You become CEO. I gotta get a nice car and get my Rolex, and I gotta roll up to the office, and people gotta know that I'm the boss. I'm in
The big
charge.
dog, yep.
Yeah, and then you get treated a certain way, and then when you shift your mindset to I need these people, I want them to love this place, I love this place, I want them to have the same passion for I do. We only live once. This is, we spend all of our time together. This is where it's at. I have when I gave my VP the role, I remember vividly. I promoted my assistant to the vice president of the company, and she was number two in charge. So she went from my personal assistant to being the second person at the company. I remember months into the company, she called me and she was crying. She said, I can't do this. She said, I can't do this. I can't, it's too much. I can't do it. I'm not ready for it. It's not right. I'm going to quit. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? So I told my wife, I'm like, she's freaking out. What am I going to do? So I said, okay, can you meet me for dinner? Let's talk. We need to talk. She said, okay. So we met at a little restaurant and we had dinner. And I said, what's wrong? What are you upset about? She said, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like the way they do this. She tells me all this stuff she hates and why she hates her job. And I said, okay. I said, well, those are all things I put in place. I said, tomorrow in the morning when you go in, I said, if you don't like this, change it. If this isn't working the right way, do it different. If you don't want this person there, get rid of them. And I told her all this, and she looked at me. She says, "Well, I can't do that." And I said, "Why?" She said, "Well, it's your company. You're the CEO." I said, "No, no, 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 no. I'm just here to support you. You're the VP of operation. This is your company. You're running it. I'm not running the day to day." So I said, "Tomorrow morning, whatever you don't like, go in and change it. Fix it. It's yours. Do it any way you want." And I think the light bulb went off, and she said, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Yeah." And then the next day, she didn't go in immediately, but within the next few weeks and months and year, she changed everything. Now I go in and I'm like, uh, where's that? Well, we don't do it that way anymore. Oh, well, how do we do it? We do it this way. Oh, okay. I have no clue how we do anything because she does it, but it's her role, it's her position, it's her people. And now I see that everybody respects her and they love her and they think she's an amazing person, but it's because she's implemented all the stuff she wants to do and she's not doing what I wanted to do, right? She's doing it the way she wants to and she's leading the team amazingly. But it took time for her to get into that role where she felt comfortable enough to say, this sucks. I don't like it. So we're going to get rid of it. And sometimes she tells me stuff I can't do. And I'm like, okay,
You
okay.
know, it, it goes to the comment you made about ego, and this is where I do a lot of the deep work do when I coach executives is around ego, right? Being able to admit and look in the mirror that, and a lot of times they don't realize it's ego, but it is ego. It's identity. It's perception. I call it perception code. It's like, how do we unlock that code that allows people to have the aha moments that you had and the freedom to be able to go, wait a minute, it's okay. The fact that you are challenging me doesn't mean I'm not right. I'm not smart. That's not what it means. It just means you're challenging me. But the ego is so fragile, in it's remarkable to me that you've been able to have that transition. and and I want to drop this before we get to kind of the final couple questions here. Is it goes back to something you said like 10 minutes ago, which is you you said, hey, I got in a quiet place, I thought, I prayed, whatever it is. I think it comes down to that philosophy of you ask a better question and you get a better answer, meaning, how can I, right? How can I be a better leader? How can we grow the business? How can I allow my team to run? How can I move into a role myself that I actually enjoy doing? And I think when we ask those questions, the brain goes to work and it's like, okay, find an answer. And it sounds like that's what you did.
Well, yeah, and it sucks too when I don't want to go in and they don't want to go in and nobody's happy. But then when you get everybody doing what they love and they're all happy, we're all passionate about it, then we all have shared values and beliefs and it works. And then for me personally, I want the team to respect me, but I also want to lead by example. So, however I act is how they act. So, if I go in that positive mindset and tell the team it's going to be great, we're going to figure it out. I know this sucks, but we'll get through it. Blah blah blah. Then the rest of the management team does that, and that trickles down to their supervisors and then to the hourly employees. Where if I went in and said, this sucks. It's horrible. I don't know how we're going to fix this. You all screwed up. This is a big, blah, blah, blah. Then it's going to trickle down. And then it's just that negative effect. So I've learned that if I go in and even if it's bad and I say, you know what, no blame, no fault, just tell me how we're going to fix it. My thing to the team is always say, I don't want excuses. I want solutions. Don't bring to me what the problem is and ask me to figure out how to fix it. Bring to me what happened and tell me how you're going to fix it and I'll help you.
Got
But that's the mindset you have to be in. So would you want somebody who's going to come to you and complain every day? This sucks. It's awful. This is a problem. Or do you want somebody to come to you and say, well, we have a problem with this, but I have an idea of how to fix it. I think we should do this. Great. Do it. And we
Right.
move on.
Right.
And that's the culture we want.
That whole attitude of how can I?
Yes.
Let me wrap. We have two more quick questions as we've got kind of a time frame here. What is an area of leadership you look at yourself personally, right? Not external to you, not the market, not other people, but literally you. What is an area that you personally want to get even better at?
Well, I think every single person, and that's another problem, in my opinion, with some CEOs and some leaders. I think they have all the answers and they know everything and they don't continue to learn. I continue to learn, read, talk to other leaders, meet you, do things like this because it grows my wealth of knowledge and my ability to be a better leader. And I think that is the key to being a good leader. You can't be a good leader if you think you already are a good leader and you have all the answers. You have to be vulnerable and say, I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything. I want to learn more. How do I learn? Or maybe the way I'm doing it, somebody else has figured out that secret code to do it better, and I want to do that. So that's why I'm always talking to people, always reading books, always online, always researching and figuring out somebody else has a better way of doing it than I'm doing it. I want to know about that. I want to
Are
learn it.
there any areas you look at right now in yourself and say, this is a specific area I know I need to get better in?
just keeping an open mind about because I'm the CEO, everybody assumes you have all the answers and that you have to know what to do. And I don't always know what to do. So when I'm vulnerable with the team or somebody in the community and say, you know what, I don't know what to do. I don't have the answer. I need help. Let's figure out who can help us answer this. And maybe it's a consultant, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's my CEO peer group, maybe it's my mentor. But going to somebody and saying, I don't know, help me is not bad. It's good, but too many leaders and too many people wouldn't want their employees to be like, "What do you mean Eric doesn't know the answer? I thought he's the CEO. He should know." And then come to find out I don't know. Well, there's nothing wrong with not knowing. It's fine that I don't
It's
know.
that whole, it's that goes back to the ego, right? It's
It's
just
just
the
I need
ego.
to figure out how to
Yeah.
fix it, and I got to get
Yeah.
people to help me do that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Last question. Thank you. That's awesome. Last question. What's the question you wish people would ask you, but they don't?
That's right. I remember the people. That's right. Um, I think people
I can
ask
think for
me
a second. If you need a second, I can, do.
ask me all the time. I probably get asked at least twice a day. I've probably already been asked once or twice a day. People see all the nonprofit boards I'm on, all the businesses that I run, all the stuff I do in the community, mentorship to like people, just everything I do. And they always ask me, like, I don't know it's how it's possible that you do everything you do. How do you do it and still keep that positive mindset and that positive attitude? I wish
What do
they
you
would
wish they would ask you?
I wish they would ask me more about my faith and about what my core is and why I am who I am instead of what I do. Because everybody just assumes that they know I'm going to say because of XYZ. And I think when they find out, or I tell them that it's my faith and that it's my soul and spirit, and that I have a certain thing that grounds me and who I am and why I am who I am, I think that would surprise them if that was the question they would ask me. Like, more, if they learn more about that of me instead of my leadership side of what I do.
I love that. And offline, I think I want to dig deeper on that. So, how, if someone wants to reach you, you have a book, if you want to tell us about your book, or if they want to reach you, if you, or more learn about your company, what's the best
Yeah,
way for
so my
people
book
to?
is on Amazon. It just came out last month. What's Your Mindset by Eric L. Goodman. LinkedIn, Eric L. Goodman, middle initial L. So that's how you can find me best. Website, ericgoodman.org. Can I have a link to my book there, link to my LinkedIn, my email, my phone number, my contact is the best way. I post on LinkedIn every single day. That's the only social media platform I'm on. So if anybody wants to follow me and learn more from me, it's on my LinkedIn page. And then if somebody wants to learn about my businesses and what we do and how we can help them or their nonprofit in the community, look me up and then reach out to me.
And we'll put in the show notes, I'll put a link to all of these for everyone
Yes.
so they can reach out to you.
Sweet.
Well, Eric, it's such a pleasure to be able to
David,
chat
thank
with
you.
you. Really, really enjoyed it. Folks, those of you that are listening, watching, thank you so much for your support. This is Inside the Leader's Mind. I'm David Susan, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you all. Thank you. Bye bye.